Hi everyone, Corey here from the Knitting All the Blankets podcast, and I've got a wonderful update video for you today. Before we jump into that, I would just like to say welcome to anybody that has just randomly found me on YouTube and has decided to watch it. Thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me. And to all my returning subscribers, thank you for coming back. There is a Ravelry group for this podcast on Ravelry. I will put the link to it in the description box below. As well as if I mention any shops or anything, those are usually in the show notes on Ravelry. But that's also where I will put like any shops I mention, anything like that. I don't think I'm going to be talking about shops today, but sometimes I ramble. Okay, so you're going to get an update on Eric's blanket. There's been a lot of progress on that, but I also finished my first cotton color of the year towards making knitting inventory. I'm going to go, just for a breather, I'm going to go through finished objects and what cotton I have lined up for dishcloths before I go into Eric's blanket. If you've been following me for a while, let me sit up. You know I've been working on a blanket for my brother. It's going on a year at this point. I've been working on it monogamously since September, but I've been working on it little bits since last year. Part of my hair looks like it's sticking up. Okay, so at the beginning of 2018, when I filmed I think it was episode 22, 2018 knitting goals, I talked about, how I wanted to knit 100 dishcloths before October 1st for craft show inventory. I also wanted to line up the cotton yarn that I was using, and hang on a second. Sorry, something popped up on my screen and it was distracting. So I had lined up for October of last year before I decided to knit monogamously on my brother's blanket. I had coned up Bernat Orange Sickle, which was an orange solid cotton, and I finally finished it. 12 dishcloths and a scrubby. Now, scrubby for me, it's the same grandma's washcloth pattern. Ends are not sewn in as usual, just because that's just how I do things. And I use the grandma's favorite washcloth pattern. I love it. I mean, I literally can knit it in my sleep. So out of one of those big Bernat skeins, I got 12 dishcloths and one scrubby. For the scrubbies, I go up to 25 stitches instead of the 42 that I do. I think the original pattern has you go increase to 45. I decided a few years ago that 45, it was too big to me. So I cut them back to 42 stitches, because 42 answer to life, the universe, and everything. And that enabled me, honestly, the amount of yarn not knitting rows 43 and not knitting those last 3 rows enabled me to have enough yarn to knit 2 more dishcloths. So yeah, I haven't sewn in the ends, obviously. I'll do that later. And then they'll go in the tub for craft show inventory. Now today is February 25th. We're almost at the end of the month. And since this is not a leap year, we've got like 4 more days, or 3.5 more days in February. So I just decided, when I was looking at what colors of the 4 cotton colors I decided to cone up, One of them was going to be Burnout Lime Blast. And it is this lovely, let me get the other cone. Those big Bernat skeins tend to fill up one full cone that you cake yarn up on, and then, you know, what's left on that one. And I've already knit half a dishcloth. But this is Burnout Lime Blast. I love it. I know what they call it. I'm calling it Tinkerbell Green. It looks Tinkerbell Green to me, and I love that. So if I don't end up hoarding all these dishcloths for myself because I love the color, I will at least keep the scrubby because it makes me smile, because I was always Tinkerbell growing up. So I decided to go for that color, mainly because, you know, we're heading right into March, St. Patrick's Day, green, so green. The other colors I have lined up would be, oh, I gotta reach over and like grab everything. This is a nice deep purple one. The colorway on the name, on the label, I honestly can't remember what it is, but it's not Grape Squirt. There was a Bernat Grape Squirt that was this shade of purple, but it's not that. It will be in the show notes. I should have gone and written it down. I didn't. Bad Corey. But it is one full cone and then a little bit. And I just stack them together. And once I'm done with the Patty Green, I'm going to continue just to knit dishcloths until I'm like caught up almost, if that makes sense, since it took me really almost 2 months to get the orange knit up, since I was working mainly on my brother's blanket. Now, so February, March is going to be the Tinkerbell Green and this lovely deep purple. Then hopefully I'll be caught up in March and I can take a break and work on something different for a little while until April starts, because once April starts I have this one. Now this one, this is Bernat Lollipop. It is a twist. It's going to focus. I refer to twists as almost seizure-inducing yarn just because of the way they are. And for as tightly wound as this skein was, I've actually gotten the most yarn off of it. So, oops, they're trying to fall over. So that's going to be April, provided I'm done with the purple in March and can take a little bit of a break. And then in May, because I had finished the orange sickle before I coned up the rest of this, I had all 8 cones empty, and I just decided to cone up another color, as you do. So the next one for May is this really bright yellow. This is Bernat Lollipop, Bernat Lemon Drop. Words not working today. And I actually did get quite a bit out of this skein too, and this one I can tell you is old. When my husband and I moved into our apartment about 9 months before we got married, I had a big rack across our guest room, and that's where all my yarn went. I can tell you that yarn was in that rack in that apartment. Let's see, we moved in end of December 2012. So end of December 2012, January 2013. So almost 5 years. I've had this for almost 5 years. That's kind of sad. The rest of it is fairly recent. I mean, it's at least 2 years old. I'm working on knitting through my stash. That is slowly but surely, you know, there are only so many knitting hours in the day. I love let me go back to this green real quick. I just love how this green is knitting up. And I have gotten, and I am doing it on circulars. I'm just knitting straight. I'm knitting straight on circulars. And I'm using Clover size 10 6mm needles. And I think those are the 16-inch ones. And it's nice because I got used to knitting on those while working on the squares for Eric's blanket. And knitting on straights now is very odd to me. So I'm going to probably start, and I have this massive collection of straight needles now, but I'm probably going to keep using circs. You know, for no other reason, I can take them on the plane a lot easier than I can, yeah, I can take circulars a lot easier on the plane than I can straights. Okay. Before I hold up, I've got my knitting notes right here. Before I hold up the stripes, and I will actually post pictures of the stripes for Eric's blanket in the product, in the show notes on the Ravelry group, because these things are huge. I'm not going to be able to show them accurately. I've laid them out on my floor and so you can get an idea. But if you remember, I was knitting squares. They're about this size, but they're made out of acrylic in 6 colors: green, black, orange, blue, white, and red, or red and white. And it was 54 squares per color. So I started sewing them together, and the way Eric and I worked it is he wanted all the colors together. Like, he wanted all the green squares together. So they all got sewn together as one big stripe. I'm just going to hold part of it up. So it looks like this. So it's 3 across, 18 down. This thing is huge. This is what it looks like folded up. And I'm going to try to hang it up. I found these awesome stitch markers, and I've showed them on a previous podcast. I found them at Hobby Lobby. They're numbers, and they're like all different numbers. So I just done it as like 1, 2, 3. So yes, this is folded over a few times. So, but that's the green stripe. And my hair is all over this thing, but what else is new? I have no idea where to put this. And then I'm sewing them together in the order that Eric says he wants them put together in. So green was the first one, now black. I'm going to do the same thing. And I've got 4, 5, and 6 stitch markers, 4, 5, and 6 on this one. And so what I ended up doing, can't see as much with this one. So how I ended up putting these together is I actually sewed. Actually, let me go get the orange ones. Okay, so here are 2 of the acrylic orange squares. So how they're going to look is this is going to be the top. And I've actually sewn them together so that they will look, all of those like kind of pointy angles, you guys saw it that way. All of these will be facing the same way. That's how they all are. I sew these edges together, so the bottom of the top one and then the top, I just sew those together with the finishing needle. I'm doing a whip stitch, and that's holding together pretty well because I started sewing these together in the days before I came down with pink eye, and I wasn't sure if anything had got infected. I threw everything in the dryer, and I really was concerned because I've never washed something acrylic that I've knit before. This was terrifying for me. And the stitches held. I mean, it's held together very well. So that's how I'm sewing the squares together. And then the long strips itself. All right, so I'm just going to move them. Now they're side by side, so strip 1, strip 2, or 1 or 2, whichever makes sense to you. I'm actually crocheting these together. Mainly because if I wanted to whip stitch them together, I'd have to whip stitch for a while, tie it off, get more thread, start again. So I am very, very, very limited in my crochet knowledge. I can crochet things together, apparently, because I've been doing it really well with, actually let me get the green one because you'll be able to see it better on the green one. It's very simple single crochet together, and then I just weave in the ends. Some very, very simple. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm sewing the squares together, you know, to make the strips. So doing this doesn't really take me any time. What was taking me so long last weekend was I'd sew all the strips together, then I'd have to go back and weave in the ends. And anybody that weaves or crochets or knits, you guys know how much we love weaving in ends. So now I've learned, because I did it with the black one, I'm going to keep doing it for the remaining four stripes, is as I'm sewing them together, I'm going to weave in the ends. And then crocheting them, because I'm slow to crochet, I have to pay attention to what I'm doing. It's taking me about 2-3 hours to crochet 2 of the strips together, which is still pretty good considering these strips are 18 squares long, and this is only 2. And the finished product is designed to cover a queen size bed. So that's not too bad. I'm actually making a lot of progress on it. I really am. After the orange, I'm going to do the blue, and then either the white and the red. No, it's blue, white, red, because I remember looking at that thinking blue, white, and red instead of red, white, and blue is the order of the French flag, and that's how I'm remembering it. But before all of these stripes are actually attached to each other, what I'm going to do is Eric is going to come over, and I'm just going to fold it, but drape them across the back of my couch, and in the order that he says, and I'm going to ask him to make absolutely sure this is the order he wants them put together in, because once I put them together, I'm not changing it. So, and I've got a month to finish it. A month. So, but it's going pretty quickly, and I don't foresee me getting sick again and being out of commission for about 2 weeks. Not that I foresaw myself getting sick before, but Eric also knows that he'll get it eventually. I mean, if it's not ready by his birthday, it's gonna be one of those, hey, swing by on your way home from work and pick up your blanket. It's gonna be one of those. Alright, so that's what I've got for you right now. An update. I love sitting back on this couch. Update on my subscriber count. I'm holding steady at like 37 subscribers. That 100 subscriber count giveaway that I've spoken about the last couple of episodes were slow progress, and I am thankful and grateful for every new subscriber that I get. So once we reach the 100 subscriber giveaway, I will open up a thread in the Ravelry group, because you will also need to be a member of the Ravelry group to participate in the giveaway. And I will be giving away at least 3, possibly 4 mini skeins. Not sets, but just like individual minis. And that's where I'm at so far. So yep, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed already and you would like to, because you're interested in a possible giveaway in the future, please hit the subscribe button, which should be, it's either going to be down there or down there. I'm never sure how this changes when you guys see it. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Head over to the Ravelry group. I have an introductions thread and an ask me thread. If there's anything you want to do, ask me and introduce yourself. I also started a currently working on thread, and I need to post this in there, and Eric's blanket stuff in there too, since I'm working on that. No, there is not a projects page for Eric's blanket yet. I like doing project pages at the end personally, just because that way I will have all of my notes, because right now I'm still keeping labels from all of the yarn that I've gone through, and I of course overbought, so now I gotta figure out what to do with all this acrylic yarn, but I'll get some ideas. So yeah, that's what's going on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.